Can you help me find the zipper to this dress I'm wearing, please? If I could find it, I would just unzip, take it off, leave it behind crumpled on the floor, and simply vanish without a trace from this earth. You see, there is nothing here to hold me anymore. I need at least one beautiful lie that I can live by, that I can touch with my hands, taste with my tongue, smell with my nose, gaze at with my eyes to see through this. I am also a beautiful lie, useful for the same purpose. If anyone has a need for it for reasons that match, leave a note under the front door. The mat that said welcome disappeared a while ago, and no, I'm not being a drama queen. The last journal entry. And so she let herself into the office with her own set of keys and put up a notice on his board pinned up with fluorescent tacks. It said, "Urgent vacancy. A reasonably healthy female of variable physical and mental age urgently requires one beautiful lie to live by that can be touched, tasted, held, smelt, and seen. The advertiser is similarly a beautiful lie, useful for the same purpose. Looking for incumbents with more or less matching needs. The job will require some physical traveling and plenty of non-physical journeying alone and together. Backpacker mentality with camping skills and capability to set up and take down pop-up homes highly desirable. Additionally, keeping and sharing a journal is part of the task list. The attitude to turn water to wine and feed 500 with one loaf of bread and a single fish, combined with a very high pain threshold, are highly appreciated traits. No worries. Ample scope for developing and fine-tuning these traits will be made available on the job once selected. For further queries and clarifications, contact theblankpage@gmail.com or serveyourSentence@gmail.com. Carefully locking the door, she felt the cold, hard shape of the keys once more in the palm of her hand before leaving it quietly on top of the electric meter outside the door. There was no one at the beach when she reached. Her gaze flew to the point of the channel at the end of the stone pier, where she once saw a young boy who had come to have a good time at the beach with his friends disappear into the grey, swirling waters. It had seemed so effortless, even innocuous, to say the least. She had stood watching then, stock still, transfixed at the sight of this young boy suddenly go down below the surface, come up again, once, only to disappear again. Then all she saw was his outstretched hand. Palm opened once, fingers played, and then he disappeared, without a trace, as people looked down in disbelief. The minutes ticked past. Nothing happened at all. The water just bobbed, its cold greyness a swirl, where his hand once was raised like a flag, a last outpost. For a moment, something disturbed her attention, and she turned around in the direction of the tug of some invisible line. A fairly well-dressed man with a fleshy face and thick lips was hanging around, slinking behind the remnants of a wall. He stared fixedly at her with expressionless eyes, and without pausing once, unhurriedly, he unzipped his fly. Then he began to masturbate, slowly at first, and then with a steadily increasing pace, without once taking his eyes off her. She looked back at him fixedly, jaw clenched, without batting an eyelid, feeling a rush of blood briefly go to her head as she did. The brilliant noonday sun briefly was covered with dancing silver spots that slowly subsided. She refused to withdraw her gaze and began to slowly walk backward on the stone pathway that led 100-odd feet to the turbulent water at the point of the channel where it met the sea. She walked backwards in slow, deliberate steps down the rock pier without once taking her eyes off as he continued his increasingly frenetic movements. The sea, rocking like a cradle, threw splinters of blinding light into the brittle salt air, glinting like mirror shards. Now the man was just a form, about a foot or so tall in her field of vision, a foot-high dwarf making some sort of indistinct, rabidly, unreadably absurd, rhythmic movement. The spot on the grey water where the water wrinkled, where the hands played outward and sank, swirled just behind her. But now she had eyes in the back of her head. The sun was so bright that all was nearly white. At that moment she turned. The grey was cool, so shockingly, deliciously cool. The salt stung her lashes and she smiled. Or did she? The blob at the distance had stopped, bobbing up and down. That was the last thing she saw as she rolled her eyes upwards at the sky, at the noonday sun that spun like a mirrored plate, an oscillating disk. The waters dimpled once where a hand was once raised. The grey lid closed shut the wake her body left.